Hi again, Shlomo, back for another episode of the differences between Protestantism and the Orthodox world, in particular my Syriac Orthodox Church. So we had talked about a number of different topics already. Today I wanted to speak to the point of the mystery of the faith, as I call it. So what do I mean by that? Well, let me take you into my Protestant experience. When I was an evangelical for 45 years, everything that I believed about God had to be substantiated with a Bible verse. So there was no give or take outside of the 66 books of the New and Old Testament as they are found in a Protestant Bible. Why is that? Why is Protestantism, evangelicalism so scientific in a way? Well, a lot of this has to do with the age of enlightenment that happened from about 1680 to 1820 in Europe and in America. And it was really a period of discovery and learning about the world around people. And it changed the view of how the world is to be perceived. And one of the things that it brought with it was not just a lot of secular thought and reshaping how things are done, which is not a bad thing. A lot of our modern democracies are based on these Enlightenment thoughts. But what it also did was that it actually became something that was negative against religion, and in particular the Christian faith. And it became something that was viewed as almost childish or irrational. And there are a number of thinkers that you may have heard about. René Descartes, John Locke, those are names that are involved in this age of enlightenment. Immanuel Kant, of course, is a big name as well. But I think Karl Marx was the one that really brought it to a pinpoint in my learning. And I learned about this when I was doing my undergraduate studies at Providence College, where I had to take 4 semesters of Western civilization. And what we talked about there was what Karl Marx had said, that religion is, quote, the opium of the people. Opium, something to make us chill and accept the fate that we've been given. So not something that is scientifically based, but rather something that's made up to pacify, to placate people. And so this is something, the Enlightenment period is something that really flowed into especially Western theology. A lot of the critical thinkers of the 19th century in particular came out of this, and they were the ones that really shaped how we perceive religion, whether God is real, whether Jesus was ever a real person, and so on and so forth. So a lot of that actually then transformed itself into the theology that we encounter in the West, whether it's Protestant or Catholic. Many of these ideas were shaped by the Enlightenment, and even to this day, I would argue that some of the things I see in Catholicism, for example, today, are based on that Enlightenment period, and it made people question certain things or have to find scientific explanations for certain things. So, for example, original sin. Well, if Mary was not free of original sin in the Western thinking, and we had talked about that before, then what has to be the consequence out of that? And so actually dogma was developed based on this more scientific approach to understanding. So that is all good and well. There is nothing wrong with science. I'm very pro-science. I think it's something that is not contradicting religion in any way, shape, or form, or faith in Jesus Christ. But there's also the other side that we should take a look at, and that is actually what happens in the Orthodox world, in particular in my beloved Syriac Orthodox Church. Is there that same kind of thought? And I would argue, no, there isn't. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Enlightenment period kind of bypassed that part of the world because they were fighting other battles in many cases in these regions of the world where some of our ancient churches come from, whether it's Antioch or Alexandria or Jerusalem. All these areas, Constantinople, were fought over for so many centuries. So this period really kind of bypassed them in many ways. Does that make them less intelligent? No, not at all. It's just a very different approach to understanding religion. And in my dissertation, I think I used the quote one time that it's what I was encountering is I called it a mountain faith. It's just something that is really raw and pure and ingrained in the people, that they really, really rely on the goodness of God and they see Him working in their lives, whether that is in expected or unexpected ways, but they are aware of God, of Jesus, of the Holy Spirit. They're aware of saints and the Holy Virgin, and the saints and the Holy Virgin supplying them with prayers to the Lord for their every need. So, to give you an example of what I'm talking about, I was at a meeting in England last year of the Lausanne Orthodox Initiative, and there were some discussions. Lausanne Orthodox Initiative, I should explain, is a group that tries to bring together Protestants and Orthodox of various Orthodox backgrounds and also various Protestant backgrounds. And there was one discussion I remember very distinctly where the Coptic Archbishop of London, His Eminence Archbishop Angelos, was addressing in a discussion that you really can never tell when exactly the bread and the wine are being transformed into the body and blood of Christ, that he as a priest of 35 plus years could still not answer that question. What is the precise moment that this transformation happens? So it culminated in my rethinking what I just shared with you earlier, that we really don't need to have this precision, that we really don't need to have a biblical explanation even for some things. I'm sorry, my dachshund wants to say hello. But rather that this actually produced in me, as somebody who came out of this very scientific approach to theology and to religion, that this produced in me a calm that I had not experienced before about my faith. That I was able to actually lay down all these concerns that I had about, I don't understand this, why can I not put these pieces together in the scripture? And I could actually put them to rest. So part A, because Orthodoxy gave me some of the answers I was looking to, but B, because I allowed myself to let God work in me, to not be so concerned about every specific answer being really fleshed out in great detail from the Bible, but rather allowing God in my daily prayers, in my daily devotions, in my attending church, in my praying with my spiritual father, to find that path to God, to find this path to understanding Him more and more just by being in communion with Him. So I think this is something that this experience of the believers through the centuries has been carried forward, that I now benefit from. And that's what I mean by the mystery of the faith. I have been set free from constantly flipping pages of my Bible. And it's not that I don't read my Bible anymore. I certainly do. But I do not feel the need to have an explanation for every single thing that I encounter. And it's been a very liberating aspect, and it's been a very devotion building aspect of my Christian life. So just wanted to share that with you today. I think I better let this guy out. His name is Santi, and I will see you next time around. Thanks for being here today. Have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless and keep you until we speak again. Bye.